Here we are again, another video in the photography session, Photoshop for photographers, and this time I'm going to look at how we can bring someone into a photograph that wasn't in the original. Often you'll have a photograph that you want to include someone that missed out on the shot, and so I'm going to take this photograph of my wife and daughter here, and I'm going to try and put myself into it. So I've got this other photograph of me with a friend of mine when we were in Scotland together and on a holiday, and I'm going to try and take me out of this picture and put me into the other picture. Now the quick way to do this is to use the quick selection tool, and we'll see how well this does here. So I've got the quick selection tool selected, and I just paint with this to pick up. I'm just doing quick strokes here to pick up myself, so I can extract myself from this image. Now it's taken a little bit too much there on the sleeve, but I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. The critical part is going to be around here, and so I'll hold down my Alt key, Option if you're on a Mac, just to get rid of some of this selection here because it's kind of over selected a bit there. And again here, unfortunately, the color of the brick in the background there is about the same color as the skin, so I'll just try and pick up this little bit here, see how that goes. That's not bad. Okay, and now I can go to the refine edge tool, and what this does is I can set the smart radius here, and I'll give it a bit of maybe 2.5 pixels there, maybe a little bit less, or maybe a little bit more, maybe more like 3 pixels. I'll smooth it out a little bit, and I'll give it just under a pixel of feathering, and now I'll use this tool here to just try and pick up some of the hair better. So this is a critical thing when you're doing these moves from one image to another. That generally the hair is the thing that you can pick that has been the bit that hasn't transitioned very well, because you know most people have little bits of hair sticking out, particularly me. Okay, so I'll see how that goes there. Now the exposure on this image isn't great, but I'm going to go for that. So I'll click also on decontaminate color, and when I do that, it says it's going to output to a new layer with layer mask. So that's created the mask there, and here is the image. It's made a new layer with that mask. So I'll actually bring down the size of this to make it easier to work with. So I'll crop this, and I'll just bring this in a little bit so I'm not taking so much of the image. Oh, I don't want to turn that around. I'll bring that down a bit. It's actually constraining it here, so I don't want to actually constrain it. Oh, I see, it's been set for a predefined size here, so I'll refresh that and I'll tell it unconstrained. So I'm not actually telling it it's got to be a certain size any longer. It was previously set to a preset size for one reason or another. Okay, and I'll just double click on there to activate that crop. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this image away from the dock there so I can see better what I'm doing, and I'll drag this layer into this image here, and you can see it's an awful lot smaller. I'll minimize this because I don't need this anymore, and I'll position myself in here, and I'm going to have to increase the size of myself here, so I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and I'll go to Free Transform. That's going to be the easiest thing, and then I just hold down a Shift key as I'm increasing the size of myself here, and I'll need to make sure the scale is kind of almost correct. So look like a flaming monster there. Still a little bit more to go, and you can see that the color isn't great here, but nevertheless we'll work with this, and I'll move myself off to the side a little bit here. Now let me just see where I fit in this image now. Okay, so if I'm about there, that might be, I'll just go Control T just to increase my size just a little bit more because my head doesn't look quite right in size, and I'll just bring myself down a bit lower, and that looks reasonably correct for size and position, I would suggest. And now I need to fix up the look of the thing. It's far too light, so I'll go for my adjustment layer here, and I'll go to the curves layer here, and I'll tell it I just want to affect the layer below, which is me, and so I'll just bring this bottom area in a little bit here and just bring that curve down to make that slightly darker, and that should do that. And then for the other two there, I'll need to give them a little bit more contrast too, I would think. So I'll similarly work on them, and I'll bring that, I'll try one of the defaults here, so I'll just try medium contrast and see what that does. Yeah, that's not too bad. Maybe it's just a little bit too contrasty, so I'll just bring that up a touch and try and match that. You can see how you could tweak that now, so I'll leave it at that, and you can see how you can tweak that and get it to make it look reasonably correct. Remember, because that's a mask, I can still go in and paint that mask. So if I want to get rid of bits in here, for example, I can use my paintbrush, and it's set to black there, and anything I paint with that paintbrush is going to paint away the information. So because I enlarged this so much, it's looking a bit pixelated, and it wouldn't be a good idea to use an image that big, or to create an image that much. So we've got a bit of a halo going around there that would need to be fixed up a touch too. And so I'm just painting that with so the mask gets painted in, and also I'd need to create a sharper effect along the edge of the coat there. And you can see how quickly you can fix up things there. So I'll leave it at that, and you can see that it's possible to put people into things that were never there in the first place.